much about the process as it is about the product. At its most satisfying, brewing creates a culture and a community that goes beyond beer to make deeper connections.
Really?
It's about learning, sharing, and it's a touchstone that can make people who've never met instantly friends. Beer with Strangers is recorded at Extreme Brewing in Laurel, Delaware. For more information about the show and for beer news and commentary, visit stateofthebeer.com, where you can also subscribe to the show on iTunes and follow along on whichever social network
did the
you're
voice?
likely to
No,
ignore.
Doesn't sound like her.
Welcome to Beer with Strangers. I am your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week, as I'm joined every week that Doug's not here, by Sean Hager.
What's up, guys?
And we'll do the weather report for Doug. It's still raining. I don't know if it stopped raining since our last podcast, but
I doubt it. It's quite saturated and moist out there. But hey, the farmers should be happy, or flooded, either one.
Well, one of the things that I like about doing the weather report is it's kind of cool. It's like kooky cool, but B, if you ever when I was a history student, you would look at these old ledgers, and a lot of what we know about colonial life came from people's diaries, and they would get up every morning and they'd say clear, cold, put in the clear, cold, 3 kids died today or something, just like really basic stuff. But they always had the weather. Like, it was like as if it was going to be important. I mean, and they don't have temperatures. It was clear, it's cold, it was rainy, it was muddy, and I think it's cool. Like, this is a document for what it was like. And it doesn't relate to beer, but it relates to being alive, and beer relates to being alive.
The Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
One of your 5 kids got
exactly.
bit by a snake today.
Another kid died today.
Yeah,
These things happen.
that old typhoid will get you.
So we tried out our new promo. Actually, our old promo, we tried it out newly. We'll see how it works. If it looks ugly, you won't see it again. But if you'd like to follow us and you're not following us on the Beer with Strangers website, and really, who could blame you? The Beer with Strangers website, it's kind of ugly. We've been picked up by SureCraftBeer.com, where I do a blog. They said that they would be happy to have our show on. So this is the first show that appeared on SureCraftBeer.com, or that appears on SureCraftBeer.com, depending upon when you're seeing it. Like, if this is the 4th show you're watching, then this is the first one that was on SureCraftBeer.com. We were talking about something just before we came on the air, and I said we wanted to wait.
Okay.
Do you remember what it was?
The brewing system.
The brewing system. So what do you guys get up to this weekend?
It was actually a couple weeks in the process. We have a really awesome customer who purchased a Blickman Brew Easy setup, and I've been foaming at the mouth for this system since National Homebrew Conference circa 2013.
So what's interesting about it?
It's a stacked system that doesn't take up a lot of space. And it's a no sparge system, so you get a fuller flavored beer at the cost of a little bit of efficiency, which yesterday we nailed our numbers. I mean, nailed it, exactly what we expected to get. Excuse me. The only thing we lost was didn't get the exact quantity of beer we were expecting, but it was also first time brewing, trying to get the electric. It's an electric brew coil. Trying to adjust the wattage on that to get the proper amount of boil off while still keeping a good rolling boil. And, still putting some stuff together and getting it all together. And, it was a good brew day. Definitely a really, really awesome piece of equipment. Kind of eerie. It boils without making any sound.
Really?
And I know that doesn't sound strange, except for when you're used to boiling on a brewing system, you always hear a fan or a burner of some kind, and this one is just all you hear is bubbles. I took a video of it, and actually you can hear Adele playing in the in the shop, which is terrible. But pretty awesome day. We did a red rye PA. Think it's going to be a good beer.
It didn't even occur to me. So you did 13 gallons inside.
Yeah.
Without gas.
Yep.
That part went over my head. That's very cool.
Yeah. We don't have a hood set up in here enough for doing propane with the carbon monoxide. So to have an electric system, and the only reason we had it on a stand is so that we didn't have a 212-degree pot sitting on
the
epoxy floor, whereas there is no heat element underneath. You could set it on a piece of wood and it would be fine. It's strange. It's my first time brewing on an electric system, and I know for people who have done it, it's it's just par for the course.
Well, something that I brag about too often, so I must have bragged about it already, but I'll brag about it again. I had the opportunity to ride in a Tesla car. What? It was before I couldn't.
I'm like a hands down car guy, and I haven't even got to do that yet. Oh.
Well, I did a story as a reporter. I did a story. I'm the first guy to buy a Tesla on the Eastern Shore. The first guy we knew about anyway. He lived in Oxford, and there is something surreal about going from 0 to 90 and not hearing a sound.
And
it's like being like, what if a golf cart went 90 miles an hour? It's just you hear the wheels on the road, and it's disorienting. You're like, it doesn't feel like you're moving. Like if you have a Tesla, you must get pulled over a lot.
Well,
it doesn't feel like you're moving.
And when you punch it, it just gone.
Yeah.
Because electrical motors make max torque at 0 RPMs. There's a neat video online. I don't know if you've seen it. The lady, she is driving one, holds her iPhone up to the passenger seat, strikes the gas, lets go of the phone, it stays pinned to the seat up to 70 miles an hour. They are fascinating vehicles, and it's actually a fascinating company. Not going to get into the politics of it, but free refills or free fill-ups, electric fill-ups.
That's probably not going to last forever, but that's very cool.
Guaranteed. Well, I mean, for anyone who buys a car up until a certain point,
right,
guaranteed for life.
Well, yeah, but I would expect, hopefully, and I would like to see in our lifetime, charging stations that are not Tesla owned, like.
But you can use.
For $20, $30, you charge and you get the ultimate fast charge.
Oh, I have a feeling it's not going to be long before somebody aftermarket makes an adapter so you can plug in your Nissan Leaf into a Tesla station, and that's probably going to make some people salty. But
you know what? I don't think so. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that cares very much about.
Oh, I don't think it's them, but like in the mall parking lot, they're paying for the power.
Oh, I see.
They might get a bit salty about it. Now, SU has
they have charging stations
for multiple vehicles, which is pretty neat.
What's cool about some of the ones that I've seen is they have you can convert like a current gas station, like picture a Wawa, picture a Wawa with solar panels on top of it. Problem solved, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this particular guy I did the story on, he had a solar panel put in. His electric was literally free.
Oh,
like he put a solar panel on top of his garage, and he plugged his car into his garage.
So, you ever been to a Tesla dealership?
No.
There's no such thing. It's a store.
Oh, that's right. He brought it in.
It's a store. I went to the King of Prussia Mall.
Yeah.
And right between Gap and Hot Topic, there was a Tesla dealership. Really neat. I don't know if he told you about it, and I don't know why we're talking about cars.
That's fine,
but it's cool. They have I don't know what they're called, like fast dock stations. Pull your car in over top of a bay. They drop the entire charging or the battery system out, slide it into a charging dock, take a freshly charged battery, put it in, away you go.
Wow.
They did 3 of them in the time it took 1 gasoline fill up.
That's very cool.
I'm like, yep, that's awesome.
It really is. It feels very, very much like the future, and
I like the door handles when you get up next to the car, they come out.
Yeah, it's very all the cool little things. The key looks like the car, so you touch the key on what you want to happen, and then like you touch on the left side, the left door opens. You touch on the right side.
The new keys for cars is kind of crazy. A friend of mine works at a Chevy dealership and had a customer come in who had the little it's basically a credit card that you keep in. So when you come up to your car, it knows it, and his jacket was hanging outside of his car and tore up, and the card went on the road somewhere. So he had to drive it immediately to the dealership to get a new card.
Right.
Very
that
expensive.
only cost him $700.
Right.
Absurd.
Key for my car is almost $400.
Yeah.
So if I ever lose it, please somebody give me a ride.
Yeah. Well, I got my Volkswagen. Had to get the car replaced. That was $150, and that's a 1994.
Mine doesn't have a key. Mine just has a fob and a push button start. But
yeah, they make you nervous. That's the only thing. I'm going to miss keys. I know that they're going away. I'm going to miss them because they don't fail. Or unless they do.
They do fail.
All right.
Keys do fail.
Lock
cylinders fail. Benefit of being a parts guy at a store is not too much fun. But so back to beer.
I just wanted to just got a little distracted with that for a second. One of the first things I wanted to talk about, and if it takes the whole time that we talk about it, that's fine. If we only talk about it for 2 minutes, that's fine. The Seattle Times is sponsoring a program where they're doing a series of learn to make beer, and they take some people who have never made beer before, and they bring them to a homebrew shop, and whoever signs up has to commit to 3 to 4. Well, you have to commit to 3. If you don't want to come to the 4th, I think they don't care. But to do the 4 stages of brewing.
Oh,
so the first order, they come in, they spend 5 hours or so. It's an all grain brew. They come in, they spend 5 hours brewing and hanging out and talking about brewing or whatever like that, and then they come back. How many days later? 7?
7 to 14, depending on what kind of beer. But yeah, typically 7 to 10.
And then I'm sorry. Take us through the brewing process because I don't remember it. And
the conversion. No,
yeah.
But basically, if you were going to do an all grain batch, you would do your all grain day. Which, if you're a home brewer, you know what that is. If not, come see me. Yeah. But grains, steeping, all that, like I said, about 5-6 hours. Week to 2 weeks fermentation time. Bring them back. If you wanted to do an IPA, say, and you we're going to do a secondary fermentation, you'd bring them back for maybe an hour to transfer the beer from primary vessel to a secondary vessel. Explain to them what's going on, aging, clarifying, stuff like that. Then you would bring them back, I guess, one more time. I don't really see the purpose of the 4th one. The next time come back would be bottling,
and then
there's
come back and drink it.
Oh, I expect you just let them take it home, but yeah,
no. That's the thing, because they're doing a series, and I think I would like to see about arranging to do a video series like that, where you do a video of putting it together, and then you do a video of the
you come back, do tasting notes and things like that,
and then you come back and you have like a party where the beer's cold and it's bottle conditioned or whatever. I don't know how long it takes, or
that's a fun conversation. Somewhere I typically am very impatient, so I will start testing my beer after about 10 days, and it's very young, not quite carbonated. 15 days, it should be fully carbonated. Some people like to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I am not going to do that.
Yeah,
no. That's especially because a lot of the beer I brew is IPAs. I like them fresh.
Right.
But this past week, I actually did my lovely fiance, and I will be getting married in October, and she sent me a text message say, hey, we should do a Oktoberfest Marzen for the wedding. And I said, awesome. That would have been cool to know 2 months ago when you're supposed to do them. So I had to kind of rush one together, and it's going to drive me insane.
Yeah.
It's
because now you just have to wait for it, right?
It's like 22 days primary fermentation, and then until a week before the wedding,
right,
lagering. So,
but you're going to throw it right in a keg at least. You're not going to bottle them.
Well, about that. One of the locations, or the location that we have chosen,
right,
is telling me that no kegs allowed, but bottles are okay, which seems like very bass-backwards thought process to me. So I may have to call them and say, please let me keg this.
Don't make me bring 10 cases of beer.
I think we're doing 18 gallons of wine, 15, possibly 20 gallons of beer that I don't want to bottle at all.
I have to say, I want to talk about wedding beer. That was actually on my list of things to talk about, but I didn't put it in the show notes, so I'm sorry for anyone who I'm surprising. I went to a wedding last weekend.
Okay.
Deep Creek Lake. Have you been to Deep Creek Lake in Western Maryland? Swallow Falls.
I don't think I've ever been to Western Maryland. I've been to Western Shore. Does that count?
No. It's like it's like practically West Virginia. It's West Virginia,
to the point,
Pennsylvania. It's right there. It's as far as you can go west and still be in Maryland.
I rode that right along the border when I was going to Pittsburgh, and it's beautiful.
Oh, it was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. A couple things I want to talk about, just real quick. I'll hit the highlights. So it's hippie country, or hipsters or whatever. I don't know. They've got gauges. They've got brunch,
hipsters,
right?
Okay.
Gauges and brunch, but also like living off the land kind of stuff.
And scarves.
So my favorite meal that I had, we had a lot of good food. One of the great things about being an older person is we got some really expensive cheese, and we had cheese and bourbon for lunch one day. And that was a nice.
I can think of wine and cheese. I'm still trying to get the whiskey taste.
That's right. It's not your thing. Anyway,
yeah, but no, that
cheese and bourbon for lunch, wonderful. But we went to this place, and on the menu it said English muffin bread, and I'm like, oh, isn't that cool that they like? I thought that they were being hipsters and just calling like, no, they make English muffins in a loaf pan, and then they slice it, and then they fry it in butter, and then serve it to you under eggs Benedict, and it was outrageous.
I'm glad my heart just exploded thinking about that.
But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was on tap at the wedding, they had Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is a more common, like people expect, like, yes, they didn't have Bud and Bud Light. They had Bud Light and Sierra, like you're going to drink beer or you're going to drink light beer, right? And I thought that's very, very, very cool. Like,
the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is a good solid beer all the time.
It's hard not to like. I mean, if you like beer, you're going to like it. I mean, my wife likes it, and she's always like, I don't like pale ales. I'm like, yeah, you do.
I'll tell you what I like is Twin Lakes.
Yeah. I hope to go there this week.
Solid.
Yeah, they used to carry it in a can here. They don't anymore. They've been on the show.
What?
The Twin Lakes.
They don't have it in a can here anymore.
Yeah, you have to ask for it special. I'm like, well,
that's crap.
If I ask for it special, will you make it materialize now? Because it's 90 degrees out, and I want a can of local beer.
Oh man, I had a lot of my beer friends heckled me last week when I left here. Typically, I go to Third Wave every Friday, and last week I just I'm so ashamed. Wasn't in a craft beer mood. It was just hot. I was tired. I think my palate was just wrecked from too many beers. I actually ended up going and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and I ordered a large Natty Boh. And I can tell you right now, it was awesome.
Really? It wasn't too sweet? I just always feel like they're so sweet.
They are sweet. But it was awesome. Yeah. Did I order two? No.
It wasn't that awesome.
I don't know if I've said it on here before. I have two beverage weaknesses, and I'm incredibly ashamed of both of them. I will never turn down a Mike's Hard Lemonade. I know. I'm a bad person. I don't know why I have such a fascination. Probably because it's the first thing I ever got drunk on.
Oh, could be.
But I was definitely of age. But the other one is Genesee Cream Ale, which is swill.
Yeah, it's also very sweet.
Yep, but I'll tell you what, a 30-pack is like $12.99, and when I'm watching the hockey games,
yeah, you want to burn through beers.
Yeah, I can do that, but I'll still always go back to craft.
Yeah. It was really nice, especially because I wasn't expecting it.
Oh yeah,
and this is my wife's family. Okay, right? And usually I'm a liquor drinker at weddings, but I didn't want to.
That means you've got to be fun at the end of the night.
Well, no, I can hold my liquor, but I didn't want to be drunk.
No,
because that's not my family. If it was my family, then that's
they expect it,
right? But so I'm like, well, I'm not gonna drink water. So I was afraid I was gonna have to, just tough it up. And when they had Sierra Nevada Pale Ale,
that's so awesome.
I drank it all night. I drank it for 6 hours. I
love seeing it because I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like at our wedding, most people that know me would be like, oh, you're just, nobody's going to drink the beer at your wedding because you're going to do nothing crazy. I'm doing a Marzen. I'm probably going to do a Schwartz beer.
Yeah.
So it's black, but still light.
You want people to be able to drink and like it.
I still will have one Danky IPA on for the, because typically most of the people I'm inviting are going to be like, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But no, that's really cool to see. And I think, I'm assuming you would probably start seeing that more and more. I think it's
standard. I think it's de rigueur at this point.
I mean, it's going from a time where I would go to like Specific Gravity, and you have the row seating there, and you have people who, it's nothing but pint glasses of beautiful different kinds of beer, and then there's that one guy banging down lights like he owes him something. And now you go to places where you typically would be a dive, and there wouldn't be any craft beer, and
it's expected.
The odd man out is the Miller Lite guy, which is cool.
It's expected, and I'm sorry, and they had bottled beer. They had 90 minute, and I'm like, I cannot drink 90 minute all night.
Not all night, but I can have a couple.
I had one.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't gonna turn it down, but yeah. So they had 90-minute bottles, and I think they maybe had Miller or Bud bottles, and then they had Bud Light and Sierra Nevada on tap. And I mean, if you can't drink either Bud Light or Sierra Nevada, then you don't. Then there's no making you happy.
No,
Yeah.
if you can't find a happy medium between those, then shame on you.
Right. I mean, don't.
Or
You're,
you just don't
you're at
drink
a
it,
wedding
that's
for the
fine.
love of God. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now if you're the one over there drinking all the mixed drinks because it's an open bar, that's right. What was I? Who was I talking to the other day that said they've never found a craft beer, never have found a craft beer they liked.
That's interesting.
And I mean, I was like, are you that?
You're not trying. You're trying too hard to be overwhelmed or underwhelmed. One or the
right.
other.
And I think it's that mental block of, I've drank Budweiser since day one, and if it doesn't taste like Budweiser, I'm not drinking it.
Yeah, but I mean, to I don't know. Like for instance, my father is kind of he lost his taste for Budweiser, and he's been going through different beers, and he hasn't found any that he's crazy about. But it's not, he'll still drink them. But
no, I mean, because as much as I don't like to promote the big three, I mean, each of them have a beer that if I'm at a party and it's there, I'll probably drink it. Now Budweiser, InBev as a whole, I absolutely refuse because of the fact of politics.
Yeah.
100% politics. I mean, they're still latching on to the we're proudly macro. Here's the middle finger to you microbrewers, and that's fine. I guess it's all fair because Lord knows I've given my finger to them.
Yeah. They're just doing their thing.
Yeah, but
so that was the main story. I lost track of the other stories because I got so involved.
Politics. We had the Senate broke off, or the House broke off of the NSA thing to recognize American Craft Beer Week.
Yeah.
Which I'll keep my opinions to myself on the NSA thing, but that's awesome. And it was unanimous.
Yeah.
Beer is bipartisan.
Yeah, and that's why there were two stories that I wanted to talk about. The one is that but the other one we've talked about it before we got it from Inc.com, but we've talked about it a lot. The notion that towns are changing laws almost as fast as they can to make sure that they can accommodate breweries.
And honestly, it has to happen. Now, I will say this. This story, which you guys didn't see what I pointed at, the laws getting written, the one that we linked, the amount of errors in that story are astronomical. They completely miss what the 3-tier system is. It's not macro, distributor, micro. It's brewery, distributor, location, but things like that. But overall, the 3-tier system was supposedly designed to benefit so that the big three can't take control. And what has actually happened is it has given them full on.
It was like a lot of these beer laws. It was really written with the best of intentions, but it was short-sighted. I'm sorry. Excuse me, folks. I have an appointment in half an hour, and this isn't going to stop ringing, so it's just going to ring twice, and then it's going to stop. And the idea was I've gone over this before so many times that I lose track of whether I've done it here or not. It's part of my talk, my spiel. But breweries used to be kind of like CVS and Walgreens. Like if a CVS opened across the street, then a Walgreens would open across the street, and that's one of the things that led to Prohibition. Because if you wanted to open a brewery in the 1800s, you would just call, let's say, Budweiser and say, hey, I want to open a brewery. They'd be like, okay. They send you the beer. They send you the stools. They send you the peanuts.
Yeah, bar.
I'm sorry. I'm a bar.
I'm not a brewery. Yeah.
Right. You want to open a bar. They'd send you all the stuff, but you could only sell their stuff. So it was like the Budweiser here, the Grolsch here. And then you'd have 10 bars on a block, and they couldn't make any money. So that's when they started selling cheap liquor as kind of a sweetener of the deal to draw people in. And that's when people started getting drunk more like professionally and Prohibition. And so they thought that they'd break that up by saying, okay, well, you know what? The breweries can't sell directly to the bars. It has to be an intermediary. And then Budweiser said, okay, well, we'll open a distribution company.
Right. And so these new laws are changing, and it's been very hard for craft breweries and microbreweries to kind of get, that everybody's willing to distribute them. But okay, so Redbeard Brewing Company, which is actually North Carolina, but I should be their mascot. They so they want to get their beer on the shelves. Well, that's fine, but Budweiser is going to take the majority of those shelves. They have to work and earn their way through that. And a lot of these new laws are kind of crushing that 3-tier system.
Yeah.
And even locally, we have some breweries that self-distribute. Telltales was for a while, which I think is awesome. But a lot of these laws that are getting changed are also laws that have been in place since Prohibition.
Yep, just laws that there was never a reason to take off the books because it's been so long since, really 100 years ago, no, 150 years ago, many towns did have their own brewery.
Yeah.
And it's just something that died. It died with Prohibition. There were a couple breweries that made it through the 40s and 50s, but by the 1960s, there were maybe, 30 or something. 30 or 40 breweries. There weren't very many breweries by the 60s. But now, and we talked, Doug and I talked about this last week, it's kind of cool when you think about it. There were 3,100 breweries, I think, before Prohibition. No, 4,100 breweries at the time of Prohibition, and now there are like 36.
Yeah, we still haven't got to what
we haven't gotten to the pre-Prohibition, but of course we have a larger population.
Right.
So, like, proportionally, we would need like 10,000, which I'm for. But we probably could. The point is that when you think about, like, if we have fewer now than we did in 1890, well, all right, in whatever 1920.
Yeah.
So if we have fewer now than we did in 1920, we really do have almost 10 times the population that we had in 1920.
I think
we could go with like really 10 times 3,000 is
30,000.
30,000. We could legitimately have 30,000 breweries, and that would be,
I think,
proportional.
I don't know if that would work though, because I think drinking was much more of a social requirement. I don't know.
Germans. The Germans drank, and that was the other thing, was that there was a new technology that killed the ales, which was refrigeration.
Yeah.
So when refrigeration kind of killed the English ales, they were drinking a lot of beer all day, but they were drinking 4% beers. They weren't drinking.
They were always drinking a lot of
7%,
lagers and
8% beers.
And, I'm sure actually Budweiser, when it first opened up, was a delicious beer. It's just adjunct out over the time. But there was a lot of lagers.
Well, my hope is to create a lager from Diamond State Brewery. I'm working on finding that recipe, because that's the first one of there were 3 breweries in Delaware. So for Delaware beer, I'm researching the recipes. Hopefully I'll get a recipe for that.
I would love to get to find some of these,
do a lager from the 50s.
Yeah, these debunked
defunct. Yeah,
defunct.
I didn't know.
Defunct.
Everyone knew
breweries.
what you meant.
Yeah, defunct breweries that were just a known, like, this is what they drank then.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another one I had. I can't remember the name of the brewery, but they redid an IPA, and I think I talked about this last year. They did an IPA that they had in the 60s. And I'm like, oh god, this is going to be gross. It was hoppy.
Oh, really?
It wasn't just hoppy. It was
a lot. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I can't think of anybody I know that was around, that was of a drinking age at that time that would have drank this.
Right.
And man, I wish I could think of the name of the brewery too. But most of their beer is fizzy yellow lagers, and then to come out with this beer, it was at the Good Beer Fest too. And
was it the National Bohemian or
no,
whatever?
no. I'll try to think of it and I'll let you know. But it's it was incredibly hoppy. Incredibly bitter too. And I don't think I could even drink more than one. It was intense.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And we're bumping up against the clock, so we're gonna start to pull it back here. because I've got some plugging to do and you got some plugging to do. Do we have classes coming up?
No classes.
Oh.
Classes. Well, we don't have any classes. We don't really schedule anything for the summer. We're probably going to be doing an all grain batch in the near future. So if you're interested in that, keep up on the website. Next weekend is the Bike and Brew event with the Laurel Chamber. So if you like to ride bicycles and drink beer, come on out.
And I'll be out. I believe you guys have a tent.
Oh, yes.
I'll be out there signing books. If anybody wants to come by, sign books. I'll be back. I'll be out there and I'll be out there taking pictures for the Laurel Star, signing books for Extreme Brewing, and it's next Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get it in next week's paper. The chamber didn't say anything at all to me about it.
Burley Oak is also has their Sour Beer Fest next weekend. I'm not sure if we'll be there. We might. Surprise. But either way, it's good sour beer, so go try that. I think that's next weekend. I'm almost positive it's next weekend. Yeah, it is. And as far as I know, that's all I can think about. There's probably something else. If you're curious, check out the website, check out the Facebook page.
All of those things.
Yeah, come in and see us. Hey, we sell stuff that makes good beer.
Call. I'm giving a talk at the Ocean Pines Library, 10 a.m. Monday. Be there or be square. There will be no beer, but I'll be there, and I'll be talking about my book, and I'll be talking about beer, and I'll be talking about the things that I've discovered in writing this new book, which will be out in a year, and I'll be saying that every week for the next 50-ish weeks.
Mm-hmm. Valentine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, Valentine.
Valentine IPA. That's what it was.
Sorry, really?
Just ran a brain fart there.
And is that back in production or?
I think it was a one-time release. It came in like a really cool box and all that. And one of our customers in here is diehard Valentine, so he brought one in. I was like, wow, that's intense.
And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick because I forgot to, and we've got 2 minutes, so we'll talk about it real quick. I accidentally started my first beer collection. I bought the barreled, the bourbon barrel
Third Wave.
from Third Wave.
Yes, I have one of those.
And I was at a book event on Labor Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and the Dogfish guy was there. We were doing like kind of a co-thing, and he gave me one of the Grateful Dead.
I saw your picture. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the Grateful Dead bottles, and I'm like, oh, now I have 2. Like when I had 1, I was just saving it till I got down to 230 so I could drink it. But now I have 2. I'm like, now it's maybe I'll just start.
If you plan on keeping them to age, grab yourself a bottle of 120. Grab yourself a bottle of Worldwide. On the extra. Get some of these big hefty beers. That way you can sit on as long as you possibly can, and they do get very good with age.
Now, I don't think this will keep, though, the Grateful Dead beer. That's not.
I would drink it sooner than later.
I'm probably going to drink it in the summer.
I think that's the one that has granola and some other stuff.
Yeah, I know my brother's a huge Deadhead, so I figure I'll bring it up to him.
That's depressing. No, I'm just kidding. No, not big.
But I think I'm going to start throwing these bottles in my basement now because now I've got.
Cellar?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's funny. We have one of our customers who does wine, and his wife told him, we should build a wine cellar. So he built the X frame of all the aged wine bottles.
Right.
And I think right now they can hold 200 bottles. She's like, why don't we just go around the entire basement? He's like, great. So we'll have a room for 1,700 bottles when we're all said and done, and we'll have a sweet wine cellar.
Yeah.
So it's like, oof. Well, better start making wine.
Yeah. Well, I probably won't do that much, but I have some shelves downstairs. Maybe we'll throw them downstairs.
There we go.
Start
making wine.
Because I think that barrel aged will keep nicely. The one from Third Wave.
Oh, hey, Dogfish Head just fired up their distillery. Their new one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got it up and running.
Yeah. Check for Delaware Distilling. That's in we're gonna say May 2017. Because why not? Book a year. That's my new motto.
What? You're gonna try to get them in here?
I'm going to try to do a distillery book, Delaware Distilling.
Book. I got you.
Yeah. But that's it. We're going to call it a day. I thought of a good sign off, but I forgot what it was. So we're just going to say goodbye.
Peace.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.